Welcome to Satsang. I'm thinking, let's keep the doors open. Actually, I know it makes it a little bit more sound susceptible, but gives us some fresh air. You want to open that door behind you? Yeah. Let's give that good. Yeah, nice. So the very, very unexpected but beautiful rain has brought us in the last minute into the cozy room. So beautiful to have you all in here, and thank you for having the courage to come to satsang and sit in a garden, not knowing that they were gonna usher you inside. It's so beautiful to be together. Starting, as we always do, with one of the questions that's come in advance from our online internet-based audience. How to go all the one do? This is asked by Dhruv Shah, came in from the website. There was once a very sincere seeker, and he went to the guru and he said, I really want to be enlightened. I want to have that ultimate enlightenment. Guide me. And the guru gave him a meditation practice. And he said to the guru, how long will it take for me to get enlightened? The guru said, if you do this practice, maybe someone can guide people. जब लोग आ जाते हैं, है ना, तो उनको guide कर लीजिएगा. Thanks. It's okay, no problem. And he said, how long will it take me to get enlightened if I do this practice? And the guru said, about 10 years. And the man said, 10 years? It's 10 years, my God. He said, that's much too long. He said, all right, what if I meditate twice as much? I do twice whatever you've given me. And the guru said, well, then it'll take you 20 years. That sense of more is actually what takes us farther. So to our brother Dhruv Shah, that instruction of Raman Maharishi that says, just be, not only is it good enough, it's the only way. However, just be does not mean I do not act. It doesn't mean I just sit here. It means that I recognize and realize that I am not the doer. In the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna makes it so clear. We cannot help but act. We're always acting. We're always doing. I can sit here on my hands. I can close my eyes. I can plug up my ears. I can just sit here. But I'm still acting. My thoughts are moving. I'm acting through what we call an act of omission. As in, there's something I should be doing. I am not doing it. That is an action. The karma that we do is not only the acts of commission, what I actually do, but it's also acts of omission, what I should be doing and I'm not doing. So just be doesn't mean neglect your duties, neglect your dharma, just sit. What it means is, even I'm not the one doing, that you are just an instrument. And you recognize and realize that that soul, that spirit, that which is eternal, which never takes birth, which never dies, that truth of who you are isn't doing anything. It's being. But the mind is identified with the doing. So I go to medical school and I start to treat people. I am a doctor. I go to law school and I start fighting legal cases. I am a lawyer. I have children. I am a mother. I get married. I am a wife. I throw a temper tantrum. I am angry. It's not I. Those are just things that have happened. Actions that have happened through this body. It's not who I am. And so the way to go all the way is to actually just go deeper and deeper. It's not about more and more, because the more and more just suffocates us. The soul, by nature, is infinite. By nature is expansive, infinitely expansive. That's the nature of soul. It's the divine. It's inseparable from the divine, the core of Vedantic teaching, especially Advaita Vedantas. There's nothing but Brahman. It's all there is. All of this you, me, us, this, that, it's total illusion. It's just a play. So there is nothing but God. And action is happening because eternal divinity has come here. This Jivatma, this individual soul, which again is, to many schools of thought, is an illusion, that there's nothing but Paramatma, nothing but the supreme reality. But here we have this individual aspect of soul, Jivatma, that's working out its karmic journey. Life after life, life after life, different bodies, different stories, different narratives, different roles we play. All the way there is the awareness. I am not the role, I am not the body, I am not the doing, I am not the action. I am that which doesn't change. I am that which was never born, which never dies, unchanging. The more I do, the more I identify as the doer. So the more temples I go to, the more I identify as the one who goes to the temples. Now it's great to go to temples. It's beautiful. It inspires bhakti in us. It opens our heart to love for God. But if I'm in the identification as the one who goes to temples, then that just takes me farther from my path. If I'm identified as the one who all day long chants my mantra, like this becomes my identity. You're talking to me, but I'm doing my mantra. It's my identity. Yeah, it's all I do. I just do my mantra. Well, again, then I identify as that. And it takes something that's a very powerful spiritual practice, and it turns it into an impediment. Our spiritual practices are meant to free us, not make us stuck. You go to temples to lose the sense of self and merge into the divine. Not to develop more of an identity as the one who goes to all the temples. You do japa to find freedom from the mind that is saying, I am this, I am that, separateness. To merge into oneness with the divine. But if that chanting of the mantra just gives you a different identity, then it's defeating the purpose. If the seva that you do that is meant to purify the mind, purify the thoughts, purify the vision, if all it does is make you feel like I'm the one who, I'm the one with the great work to do, I'm the one who does it all, or I'm the one who's gotten stuck doing this that's nothing, and either way, you've defeated the purpose. So, Dhruv, stop doing. Raman Maharishi's teaching is exactly right for you. It's not about more. It's about stopping and going deeper in who is the one that has the thought, I should go to temple. Who is the one that has the thought, I should meditate more? Who's the one that says, now I'm meditating? Who's the one that says, I'm a good meditator? Who is that? Just be. Just allow yourself. If you didn't do, who would you be? Who is that? And then go a step deeper. Who is the one naming that which you've just named? Who knows that? Who's the one aware of that? And then take another step back. Who's the one who's named that? And see how some people feel it as deep. For me, it feels like a step back, a step back, a step back. How many steps back can you take? Until eventually, neither is there anywhere to go, nor is there anyone who can take another step. And there's just isness. But you keep doing. But it's just that you're not doing anymore because I have to do to get enlightened. Now you do the way that an apple tree gives apples. You do the way a flower gives fragrance. Because that is just its nature. The flower isn't saying, oh my God, gotta give fragrance today. How am I going to give fragrance today? Oh my God, yesterday I didn't give any fragrance, and where am I going to get the fragrance? And the apple tree doesn't worry. Oh my God, those kids picked my apples yesterday. How am I going to replace them? A whole bunch of kids are coming today. Am I going to have enough? They're going to think I'm a failure of an apple tree. Who will I be if they steal all my apples? Then I'll just be branches. Right? It doesn't think like that. It's an apple tree. It gives apples. It's a flower. It gives fragrance. It doesn't think about it. Doesn't plan it. Doesn't have a complex around it or a narrative around it. It's not looking at other trees or flowers to see what they do. It just does. And the doing is a part of the isness. It wouldn't be an apple tree if it didn't give apples. In its isness is the doingness. So allow yourself to just be, and out of the being comes the doing. Great. Other questions? Any question that anyone here might have? Yes.
Hello, my name is Tanima. From Florida. For meditation, does one has to follow a guru, or is it something within our own self-consciousness we can do a meditation on our own?
Beautiful. So, meditation absolutely can be done on your own. Absolutely. Bejo you. Bejo. Dhanyavad. Meditation absolutely can be done on your own. You can learn it from a book. You can learn it from a YouTube video. You can learn it from so many places. You can actually just sit down and ask yourself the very simple question, who am I? You can sit down and watch the breath. People have been meditating, we know, for at least thousands and thousands of years. And there's no right technique or right path. Meditation is an undoing. It's not a doing. To do something, you need lessons in it. You want to play basketball, you want to play the piano, you want to do physics, you want to learn accounting, whatever it is, you need someone to really teach you. A class, a teacher, a coach. But meditation is actually an undoing. It's a peeling back of that which is not self, so that that which is self can be revealed. There's a lot of different techniques. People meditate on a mantra, they meditate on the breath, they meditate on a prayer, they meditate just on awareness, spacious awareness, on a word. There's so many different paths. If you can find a path that works for you, by all means, follow it. You will absolutely gain a lot, even if you don't have a guru. However, the guru is very important for other things. And it's important to mention because I don't want you to think that the guru is not necessary. You can learn meditation, you can do meditation, you can have powerful meditations that you learn from a book, from a video, from something that you sit and you do. However, the dilemma is that which typically blocks our meditation is the same thing that blocks our joy and our peace in life. It's the same thing that blocks our spiritual awakening and unfolding. And it's ego. And by ego, I don't mean just arrogance. We tend usually to speak about, oh my God, she's got such a big ego, as in really full of oneself, very arrogant. But ego is actually, it's more than that. It's that whole sense of I am, fill in the blank. Anything that gets filled in that blank is ego. I am this, I am that, I'm wonderful, I'm awful. I'm the best, I'm the worst. I deserve, I don't deserve. It's all ego. Anything that puts you in a label, in a box, your race, your religion, your gender, your career, your relationships, your skills, your abilities, your tendencies, your memories, your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts, that we identify as. It's all ego. And when we sit to meditate, what comes in our mind is ego stuff. Oh my God, I forgot to send out that email. They're going to kill me. Ooh, I better jump up from my meditation and go send that email. Oh my God, if I don't, I'm really going to, it's going to be awful. I'm going to lose my job or lose my friend. Or we sit down to meditate and the mind goes, smell of coffee coming from the apartment next door. God, I remember that cup of coffee that I had in Spain that time. Oh my God, it was so good. We had so much fun in Spain. God, maybe I shouldn't have divorced him. Maybe he was kind of a good guy. We did have a lot of fun when we went to Spain. God, I remember, yeah, and then Now, it's ego. It's stories, it's narratives, it's memory, it's desires, it's aversion, it's all of that. And it's what keeps us from being able to meditate. It's also what keeps us from living in joy and peace, because it's that which makes us feel that we're not quite enough, beautiful enough, smart enough, successful enough. It's that which makes us feel separate from others. It's that which makes us think people should treat us a certain way, talk to us a certain way, act a certain way, live a certain way, be a certain way. It's all ego. And the guru is the one who comes in and helps you work with the ego, removes the ego from you. So, yes, you can learn meditation. Yes, you can even do meditation. But you're going to struggle with ego. And I have yet to either find or hear about a way that is anywhere near as powerful and successful in ridding yourself of the games of the mind as having a guru. Because the mind is so smart and so good and so subtle that it comes in and it plays these very subtle games. It dresses up, it's got a lot of different costumes. It dresses up as your spiritual self, it dresses up as your intuition, it dresses up as this, and it'll kid you into thinking anything. And the guru is the one who really, really shows you the way. So, yes, you can learn to meditate, even if you don't have a guru yet. Don't worry, start. But stay really open to the possibility and the potential to have a guru if you actually want to be able to go deeper and work through those games of the mind. Yeah, beautiful. Other questions? Yes.
Hello, my name is Tal.
Todd.
Tal.
Tal. Beautiful.
I was wondering if you had advice for what to do about emotional turbulence at a time of emotional explosion or an instability. What does a person do at that moment in time?
Emotional instability is part of the package of human life. Emotions by their nature are unstable. Emotions are like waves in the ocean. They come, they peak, they crash and subside. And then another one comes and it peaks and it crashes and it subsides. It's why, if you notice, if you really watch your thoughts, it's incredibly illuminating. It's also incredibly embarrassing. You're very glad. Pujya Swamiji always says we are very lucky that God did not put a screen on our forehead and what we are thinking is actually being relayed out here in the world. One minute we're happy, the next minute we're sad, then we're angry, then we're longing, then we're resentful, then we're jealous, then we're this, then we're that. By nature, the emotions are unstable. Because that's how they work. They're literally chemical and electrical patterns of behavior. Every single thing that happens in the mind is based on electricity and chemistry. It's how the brain works. It's all that's there is in there. electricity, chemistry. So the only difference between anger, lust, like incredible, feeling of sexual desire, great joy, sadness, the only difference is different chemicals and a different electrical pattern in different parts of the brain. That's all it is. So as the neurons fire, as electricity is transmitted along the neuron, as chemicals are released into synapses, things keep changing. Keep changing, keep changing, keep changing. So by their nature, emotions are unstable. It's why one of the first things we learn in meditation is just to watch the mind. Just watch it and be very glad you don't have a screen here. Or that someone's able to see inside, because it's really embarrassing. We think that we are very stable, very deep, very rational. And then you watch how the mind works. You think, oh my God. Now, when you're experiencing emotional instability, just watch it. Notice it. Like you're at the beach. Sometimes the waves are very gentle, barely any waves. Sometimes there's a lot of waves. But in either case, you're the one on the beach watching. And you're just noticing, oh, not very many waves today. I guess that's why there are no surfers here. Ah, lots of big waves. That's why all the surfers have come out. You're just the one who notices. And so as you're in this state, just develop a practice of watching, anger. Fear. Longing. Resentment. Jealousy. Judgment. Anger again. Self-hatred. Right? You just notice it. Just watch them, like waves of the ocean. And keep asking yourself the question I mentioned earlier, which is, who's the one who's watching? The waves are happening. Who's the guy on shore watching it? That's you. And instead of identifying as a pebble on the wave that's going like this, recognize you're the one on shore watching it. And as you speak about the emotional sort of explosion, well, again, just notice it. Sit down and allow it to rise. Feel it. Don't try to stop it. Don't try to talk yourself out of it because it doesn't work. Don't try to rationalize with yourself. Don't tell yourself that you're bad for being angry. It's just a wave. That's all it is. It's just chemistry and electricity. It's happening inside. It's just a wave. Just sit down and allow that wave. Allow it to build and build and build and build. And try to keep the story out of it. That which keeps the emotions stuck is when we start telling stories. The emotion is just the experience. But then the story comes in and says, I cannot believe I trusted that guy. He really betrayed me, really hurt me. I was so stupid. I can't believe I did that. That just makes you feel awful. And it keeps the emotion stuck. If not, the emotion just, it builds, it builds, it builds. And then it peaks and it crashes and it subsides. And you're still here. And you just notice it. Just notice it. Work with your breath, because you cannot simultaneously be breathing very deeply, especially from very low in your abdomen, and also emotionally worked up at the same time. And so work with your breath. Bring your breath really low. There's a beautiful energy center, a chakra, that's just about 2 inches below your navel, called the Swadhisthana chakra. And it literally means the place of the self. Allow yourself to breathe from here. Just breathe really deeply and allow yourself to kind of anchor back. And just notice waves crashing in the brain. Okay. Waves crashing in the brain. Okay. Just notice it. Imagine that it's like you're walking through an art museum. Still life with fruit. Waves crashing in the brain. You're noticing it. You're just noticing what's happening. But you don't identify as it. You're not the apple in the still life with fruit. You're not the emotions. You're just noticing them. And find that place within you that is watching. And start to get really interested in who is that watcher. Who's the one that notices, now the wave is rising? Who's the one that notices, now the wave is receding? Get really interested. And then ask yourself, who's the one who's noticed? The watcher. And it's that same thing, going back, taking a step back. It's about getting out of the ocean and watching it. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, of course, beautiful. Other questions? Yes. That's okay. It's the challenge of this room that there's actually a behind me. Yes.
I have 2-3 questions.
Okay.
I
Start with
meditate
one.
regularly. Okay. One is that we know that we are the soul, but we haven't seen the soul. So a lot of times when Sir spoke about emotions, we forget we are the soul. So how to bring ourselves back to that awareness? That's the first question. The second thing is that we understand that we are living in delusion, but it's very difficult to be Sakshi consciousness, which you've been speaking about, because it does not seem like a drama. Everything seems so real, especially when we are going through karmic challenges. And the third question is, how do I accept my Guru's will? Because I know he's working on my ego, but it's very difficult to surrender and keep saying, thy will be done. There are so many things that I want which don't go my way.
Great. Okay. So first, soul. Ask yourself, right now you say I am. Whatever you fill in the blank with, but you say I. And you're identified with that I. And you say this is how it feels. I'm in the midst of the drama. I am the one who cares. I'm the one who loves. I'm the one who's hurt. Okay. Now rewind 10, 15 years. You were in a different situation. But you were also saying I. So think back to a moment, 10, 15, 20 years ago, when you were saying I, but in a completely different experience, feeling completely differently. Then think back to a time when you were a young child. Can you remember saying I? Think about that. Try to really remember saying I as a child. I am this, or I want that, or I did this. Now you've got 3 different versions of I. And of course, you could have 15 different versions, but for the sake of not having too much time, we just did 3 for right now. 3 completely different physical bodies. 3 completely different situations. Not one single cell of your being today was there in either of those 2 other times when you said I. Not one cell. What is it that's continuous? There's been no break in our experience of I. Body has changed completely, 100%. Every cell, many, many times. Roles have changed. Understanding has changed. Relationships have changed. What we do has changed. What's consistent? What's continual? And just allow yourself to ask that question. And allow yourself to feel what is the answer. What is it? Who is that said I when you were 5? And then I again when you were 20, 25, and then I again when you're 40. Who is that? Just allow yourself to feel that. And then there's a beautiful meditation called Neti Neti, which is literally a practice, and we won't go through all of it here, but it's really simple and it's a beautiful one. You can do it on your own. And you begin from the external, the most obvious, and you say, I am not my sorry. All right, nobody's going to fight me there. Obviously, I'm not my sorry. I am not the skin beneath my clothes. I am not the blood flowing beneath my skin. I am not my bones. And you go piece by piece, and the outer layers are all really obvious. We know that we're not that. Our skin peels, we get new skin, we understand we're not changing, bones break, they heal. We understand we're still here. I'm not those things. And then you go deeper and deeper. I'm not my organs. Get a kidney transplant, but I'm still here. Not my liver, get a liver transplant, I'm still here. Not this, not that. And then slowly you start to say, I am not the chemicals in my brain. I'm not serotonin. I'm not dopamine. I'm not norepinephrine. Right? Obviously, we know that I'm not a chemical. I'm not an electrical impulse. But the minute that you really realize that you're not that, then the next step is very simple. I'm not my emotions. I'm not my memories. Because they are all just patterns of this chemical and electrical behavior. But doing this meditation, you really have that felt sense experience. I'm not, I'm not, I'm not. I'm not my history. How can I be my history? There's not one cell here that was there. If I'm not the body that was there, if I'm not the memories that remember it, if I'm not the emotions of how I feel about it, then I'm not my history. And slowly, 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 you start to realize you are none of these things. And then into that spaciousness, when there is nothing left to say, I am not, you start to experience that presence, whether we say soul, whether we say spirit, whether we say consciousness, whether we say divinity, whether we say Sat Chit Anand, that supreme experience, whether we say Brahman, whatever word we use, you start to have that experience. But you've got to do the practices. And what that will do is it will enable you to move through life, because just like you realize not this, not that, when somebody in your family says something or does something that upsets you, and you start to feel that anger brewing, right? Your palms are sweaty, your heart's beating fast, the brain is thinking of all kinds of witty and rude reactions, like what you're going to say that's going to really put them in their place. what you're going to do, how dare they. Suddenly you say, not this, not that, not this. I am not this anger. I am not this reactiveness. I am not the one who was insulted. Not this. I'm not my anger any more than I am my sorry. And the minute that you stop identifying as it, it pulls you out of the drama. It's like if you imagine that you're on a stage and you're playing your role and you're playing it well. And then suddenly the director says, cut, cut, okay, it's a wrap. Right? What do? You go, you take off the costume. Right? You're not going to stay in costume. It's a wrap. It means you're done for the day. Off with the costume, off with the makeup. In the same way, when you start to realize you are not these things, it enables you then to realize you're not the whole role. And then you start to touch that experience of the one who's wearing the costume, the one who's playing the role. And so it keeps you from losing yourself. It enables you to choose peace. Because, as I quote my dad all the time in here, who's a very, very successful and very well-known divorce attorney in Los Angeles, he has had a teaching that I've heard him give my entire life to anyone who's getting married. He's spent, he's now 77, so he spent 50 years getting people divorced. And the teaching that he shares is, you've only got two choices. You can either be married or you can be right. Those are the only options you've got. Either you are right or you are married, happily married. Meaning, if it's so important to you to be right, you can be pretty sure you're not going to be married for very long. In a country where people get divorced very quickly, in a country like India, you could just say, well, you're not going to be very happily married. You may not necessarily get divorced, but you won't be happily married. So two options. Be attached to being one story. I can only do that if I'm anchored in soul, in spirit, in truth. And so these practices enable you then to move through your family drama, seeing it just for exactly what it is, a drama. And you choose love. You decide, how can I, in this moment, be love, be peace, not be triggered, not get upset, but choose peace. And lastly, your last question about the guru. Yeah, it's hard when our guru doesn't do what we want, isn't it? It's hard when our guru doesn't give us what we really want. But I think that's the difference between a guru and an employee. Right? I mean, if you just want someone who's going to do what you want, hire someone. We don't go to the guru to get done what we want. We go to the guru to show us who we are. And yeah, it's not always easy. It's actually never easy. Because of the ego. Because the ego keeps saying, I. And the guru just keeps hitting at that I, hitting at that I, hitting at that I, to make it bend. Make it bend, make it bend. There's a beautiful teaching in Hindi that says, Jukta to wo hai jisme jaan hota hai. Akkad to morde ka pachan hota hai. You know that someone's alive when they can bend. Those who don't bend are corpses. That's the distinction. You can bend, it means you're living. You're stiff and stubborn, you're a corpse. You're dead. So the Guru keeps making us bend, making us bend, making us bend. Not because we're not supposed to have what we want, but because we're supposed to stop identifying as the one who wants. It's not that the Guru is trying to deprive us of something we should have. It's that the Guru wants us to let go of this very idea of I, and the very idea that I am lacking in some way, that would need something, that if my Guru only had a magic wand, he or she would be able to give me. And this is the dilemma. We start looking at our Gurus. We start looking even at God like a vending machine. Right? You know, you put in your money. I've done my japa, I've done my prayers, I've done my Guru Dakshana, I've done my seva. Now what I want, it should come out. And if it doesn't come out, it means the Guru is broken. Or God is broken, or it means I've got the wrong Guru. Or I pray to the wrong God, or I'm chanting the wrong mantra. But that's not the point. The Guru is the one to show us you're not lacking anything. There's nothing you need. You think you need this thing. You think if I were a good Guru, I would wave a magic wand and give it to you. But actually the magic wand the Guru is waving is for us to realize we are already full. And already complete and already whole, and there is nothing we need except more space inside for grace to flow. Who is the one who removes all of that is blocking us inside? And yeah, it's not a... But it depends on what your goal is. If your goal is to be temporarily happy by getting the things that you want, hire yourself a bunch of employees to do what you want, get you what you want. But if your goal is to be free from needing different things to be happy, then have a Guru. You see the difference? One is, how am I going to get what I want to be happy? The other is, how do I become free from thinking that I need anything in order to be happy? And that's actually what a good Guru does, is helps you attain that state of freedom. And yeah, it may be very difficult and painful. I remember saying to Pujya Swamiji at one point, with tears pouring down my eyes, nobody ever told me that when you annihilated my ego, my heart was going to go with it. Because it feels like that sometimes. Because we identify so much with the emotional self that when the Guru essentially flattens that self that you identify as, feels like it rips your heart out. But all it's doing is creating space in you to actually then allow truth and grace to really flow. So, surrender. Surrender fully. Yeah. You may not get what you want, but you will get free. And then suddenly you're going to realize that you didn't actually want what you wanted. That was just the temporary balm of actually something that needed much, much, much deeper healing and work. Beautiful. Have a a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evenings. Hopefully tomorrow, with no unseasonal rain, we will be back in the spacious garden. But wherever we are, there we are. And so much love to you all.